But I trusted her so much, like, okay. And I emailed my doctor there and then. I saw him 2 days later, and I started on the drugs that night. And she was right. And it's important to have someone that you trust like that, because the one thing that I would say is you can't use a sick brain to think your way out of the problems caused by your sick brain.
Hello and welcome to Separate Bathrooms. We would like to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians of this land. Pay our respects to elders both past and present. My name is Brahe-Daddo. This is my wife, Alison Daddo.
We love having couples visit us, as you know, because every relationship travels through their ups and downs and unforeseen challenges arise. And look, we all tackle these very differently, and hearing how others make their relationship work can really inspire us to get through what might be occurring in our own.
Yeah. So one half of today's couple is well known to most Aussies. He's been a part of the Australian entertainment landscape for over 20 years. I've got to say he doesn't look much older than that. The interesting thing here for Elle and I is that while you, the listener, were getting to know him here, we were living in Los Angeles in the bubble. So he's a bit of an unknown for us.
And he's a muso, and he's a well-established radio jock, a hugely successful podcaster, and of course, a very much loved TV host.
He's an advocate for mental health and a finer example of father and husband you'd be hard-pressed to find. His wife, I'm thinking, is the backbone to his success.
Indeed.
Because that's usually the way it works. We're going to find out more about these two and how they make their marriage work. Welcome, Osher Günsberg and Audrey Griffen, to the bathroom. Welcome, guys, to the bathroom. I have to say this is strange for us because our audience knows you way better than what we do. Maybe, you know, they will not know some of the things that we're going to cover off on today. But Osher and Audrey, how did you guys meet?
Hi. Don't giggle like that. It sounds sordid then.
Well, Audrey and I pulled out a 1993 copy of Dolly magazine and I said, look at these two on the cover. Don't they look so in love? And it was you
We
guys.
met at work.
We met at work.
Yes.
It was one of those dog-eared Dolly magazines at work.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I had come back to Australia to shoot a TV show called The Bachelor, and it was the second season. The woman who had been doing my makeup since my very first day in television, she was there on work experience. I'm sitting there going, I just got divorced about 3 years beforehand, and I was like, oh, I'm so famous, I can't go on Tinder, blah, blah. She's like, no. That's how she talks.
Yeah.
And she was like, look, I'm taking next week off because I had said yes to a gig before I got this one. I've got someone to come and look after you, and you're welcome.
There you go.
That was me.
That was all.
Did you have to sort of keep it a bit of a secret for a little bit, or is everyone sort of in on the love fest from day one?
It was so secret I didn't realise we were on our first date. I didn't realise he'd asked me out. So I turned up to it with a friend who I was actually planning to line him up with. So that was interesting.
Well, because we were at work, and at work, someone's got the right to, just do their job without swatting unwelcome penises away.
Yeah.
And so I was being very, very, trying to be as respectful as possible, and just talking about stuff and trying not to allude to too many things. And
You weren't sitting in the makeup chair with your penis out, were you?
God.
it's not the 80s anymore, mate.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. I never did that. But, I mean, and Audrey, I mean, how was it? I mean, you're sitting there doing your job as a makeup artist on a very loved-up vibe set, being The Bachelor, I'm sure, and here's the host of the show kind of going, hey, or not, or was it fairly cool while the work was going on?
No, it was so cool that, like I said, I didn't realise that's what he was alluding to was actually inviting me out. I thought it was just, here's some tickets to a show. And then next thing he's like, so I'm coming to the show.
Tickets to the gun show.
Well, no, it was to see a mate who's a stand-up.
Yeah.
She actually, I played it, I sent so few vibes her way, she actually questioned if I was into women at all.
Oh, wow. There you go.
You can probably relate to that, can't you, with me? You think I was...
No,
I
no.
wasn't putting the hard word on you for a while?
Yeah, no, I didn't think you were gay, but I didn't think you liked me because you were so sort of respectful. I was like, oh, he doesn't want to kiss me. He doesn't want to do anything. Like, what's going on?
Oh, my God, I had that same experience. It's like I'm not used to, well, God, that sounds up myself. But, you know, usually if someone's asked you out on a date, then you can usually tell that they're interested in you.
Yeah.
But he was, yeah.
She dropped me off at my house after the gig. And I'm pretty sure the car was still moving as I dived out of the passenger.
Like not even like a high five goodbye.
Just a tuck and roll, and that was it. That's all you had.
Yeah. I didn't have to break at all.
So how was the proposal?
Equally difficult to read.
Right.
I didn't even know it was happening
You're a subtle
until
man.
he put the ring
Osher.
on my finger.
No way.
Yeah. And it was past due. This is the thing. It was past due, but there was a moment I wanted it to be on Heron Island at sunset. Like I knew exactly when I wanted it to be and how I wanted it to be. I had the ring lined up for, crikey, I want to say 10 weeks, maybe 12 weeks before we even went away. And it had become an issue between us that this is, you know, come on, mate. Either poop or get off the pot. Like, come on. And there was quite a few times during some, shall we say, terse words, I wanted to basically walk into my office, dive into the camera bag, open the lens case right hidden it, pull that out and just go, there, all right? It's been there for 3 months. But I had to wait.
Yes, I was one of those.
It's fair enough too, though, because that's the thing. Like Audrey very early on, and I really appreciated her for doing this because Georgia was 10 when we met. Yep. And she's very much like I'm not here to mess around. So if you're not, I'm not bringing somebody into my life that isn't serious. Yep. So if you're not serious, you should find somebody else because I'm not wasting her time. I have too much respect for myself and her. Yep. So, you know, what are you going to do? And I really appreciated that because I was a bit non-committal before that.
And that is a beautiful consideration as a single mum, you know, that you're not just dating me, you are essentially dating my daughter as well because you become, you know, a man in both of our lives. So, yeah, you want someone to be serious and stick around. And did Georgia really like Osher from the get-go?
She did until she realised he was going to stay forever.
And when did that realisation hit her?
It was about March. We met in June. We met in June, and March the following year, I think we turned around to shoot the next season, and I was living at a hotel about 2 k's away, and you said, "Oh, just move in." So she was fine until I turned up with luggage.
Right.
And
then he wasn't just the guy that she could, you know, make up songs and dances with. And
we're having the best time ever. She's a dance kid, so I'd make up songs and we would just invent entire musicals and dance and sing for Audrey, and it was hilarious.
Yeah, for them.
And then, but when it was evident that I wasn't going to leave, and that I was part of it, it became a challenge, and
then there's jeopardy, right?
Yeah,
which is, you know, then it was like, oh, is he going to stay? That kind of thing had come into play, and
neither of us had, you know. I'd never had any experience with this.
Yeah, so
neither had Audrey.
How was that, mate? You know, you've got the stepfather tag. How was that for you?
I had exactly 1 month worth of parenting experience with an 11-year-old child. So I made all of the mistakes that you could make.
Give us some of those mistakes. What do they look like?
Well, just not understanding what kids' brains are like and not understanding that the behaviour is the symptom of a deeper cause. Not understanding any of that, taking things at face value, reacting to it. And, of course, by the time you're 11, you're starting to, you know, play with adult level
push
kind
back
of,
on things and
challenges. Yeah. And so I'd never been challenged by someone at 11, so I'm responding to the challenge. It's an adult challenge. I'll respond I didn't know what I was doing. Oh, now it's kids crying. So what we ended up doing, amazingly, like we're so lucky to live in this country, we went to the local children's hospital, the public health hospital, and there was a psychologist there that really helped the three of us, really helped the three of us work out and give us a whole, kind of language to speak together and an idea of how things are moving. And
it was mostly for us really to go and see them.
Yeah.
And they helped us understand that, the behaviours are normal. This is, a time of uncertainty and how best to help her and all of us through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I think as long as you, and we've all seen it, and, as unfortunately there's, people close to you, they go through a separation, and like as long as you make the kid the priority, you're going to be okay. It's hard work because, I'm a selfish prick, so still all learning, and G's nearly 19 now, and she's an incredibly powerful kid and amazing, and
really proud of her.
So proud of who she is, and that challenging thing that she has is still there, and
which is one day going to be someone else's problem.
Look, but it's great because she's this powerful. She's a powerful young woman that is unapologetically holding space, and it's a really beautiful thing.
Well, number one, well done for seeking help, because a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't think that anyway. They just kind of continue on, and the relationship disintegrates even more. But so that was fantastic that you thought to do that and sought the help. I think we need to get that message out that there is help out there, and all is not lost.
It was free.
Yeah,
also.
Free.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Australia. Australia's
like
fantastic.
We're so lucky. And it was a kids' mental health clinic.
Yeah.
And Georgia really didn't even need to go to any of the appointments. It was more for the parents to teach them how to parent.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And it's something that people
why don't we do this more
and
often?
what I loved, and it was free until she turned 12. And they went, usually around this point it's you don't need us anymore. But what I loved about it, and I lived in America for 10 years where this sort of thing would have cost $100.
Yeah.
Sure.
It was free, and it was an intervention that is clearly heading off all kinds of issues further down the track for all three of us.
Yeah.
And I was so grateful for it.
So good.
Audrey, don't answer this if you don't want to. Is George's dad still? Is he on the scene? Is he actively parenting? Yeah. And how does that go with the two of you?
So from the very beginning, we separated before Georgia was born, and he's always been a part of her life. We've both worked really hard to keep our personal feelings out of the way of her relationship with him. And he actually lived interstate, so I would either fly her down, or when he was in town for work, I would take her to see him, even when she was a baby. So it took a couple of years of ironing out the kinks, and then we just kind of got on with it.
And she's a better kid for it. She really is. Because I was just so impressive when I first met Audrey and she told me that. Because I thought about, my own experience and experiences of other mates. In the 80s, if you were, upset at your ex, like the kids were the weapons. That's just what happened. And watching the way these two navigated a tricky situation.
Yeah.
And who they became because of that. And now the relationships with each other and with G, it's just beautiful. Yeah. We were at her 18th. We were all standing there on the dance floor at
all four of her parents
at his farm. All four of us,
Yeah.
and just being like, launching the ship into the world. There you go. It was just such a beautiful moment.
Well, like you said, I was going to say, like you said, Osher, that you put the child first. That's that's the focus.
Yeah, and that's the thing about G. She was just my girlfriend's kid, And then one day, wasn't long at all, one day I just woke up and I was like, oh, I would push you out of the way of an oncoming bus, even if it meant I would be turned into mincemeat. I would die. And I wouldn't even think about it. I was like, wow, I heard that happen with mates of mine who had children with their partners. I'd never experienced it like that. It wasn't long. It was about maybe 6 weeks, 8 weeks it happened. And I was like, oh, it's not about me anymore. Oh, so here comes this constant battle of the me show to actually no, it's about this child.
Yeah.
and that was great. And so I was 41 when I met Audrey. You're going to date women with kids if you find yourself single at 40. It's going to happen, and who you get to become as a man because of it is amazing. We're lucky that Wolfie came along. We are. Yet if Wolfie had never come along, it still was incredible and would have continued to be incredible.
And tell us about Wolfie. How old is he now? 3, 4, or some 3? Tell us about him.
Wolfie's awesome. He is a mini version of his father, so he's got that twinkly-eyed smile that we're like, you'll get out of a lot of trouble with that.
Or into. Yeah.
Or into, yes. Into or out of. Into then out of.
One of my bosses at work, who's been the person who's been in charge of casting every Big Brother house, and he's like the god of these kind of things. He met Wolf when he was about 1. He went, oh, there's a smile that'll get him what he wants in life. Like, he's 1. He's like, I could pick it. Fair enough.
He's a handsome young man. He's very smart.
So kind. My God.
And super kind.
And it's so amazing. Like, they are who they are when they come out.
Yes.
There's, he's got things in him that I don't think either me or Audrey have. Like, Jesus, man. Like, it's unbelievable. They are. And he adores G and G adores him. And it's beautiful.
And they have a fun relationship.
Yeah, it's really
He's
fun.
kind of got a built-in auntie, really, doesn't he, with Georgia kind of thing.
She's a mini-mum.
Cool thing.
It is a bit of a trick, though, to play the line between... Because she's got 3 other brothers who are younger than her. And because she's only I think the main difference between her and her youngest brother before Wolf was, I think, 7 years? 7 or 8 years.
Something like that.
But with Wolf, it's 16 years.
Right.
And so splitting the difference between sister and I'm an adult that now models adult behaviour that he will follow, that's a thing that, that needs to be, like, it's a tricky thing to manage.
And it's also, it's hard on her too to remember, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because it's not her responsibility. We have this, look, there's quite an age gap between our son and our youngest daughter. And our son can be, some of his behavioural choices and what he chooses to say to her are questionable. And I get really mad sometimes because it's like, dude, you can't talk to your sister like that because you're teaching her this. And it's like, well, it's kind of not his responsibility, but I do want him to be aware of what he's setting up.
He also says he's training her to be tough. Like,
sounds familiar.
And that's the thing. Isn't that interesting, though? Isn't that interesting? Because it seems to be that's the mode that we think was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
That almost childlike reaction to, like, oh, if you want to get through life, you're going to stop crying. It's like, well, I get why that made sense for a long time. But once you actually look at the research, once you actually look at how, and particularly with young men, when it's not that young women don't get angry or upset or violent, but they generally aren't in a 6'2" of human body with 90 kilos of lean muscle mass and all the testosterone in the world, fueling their potentially difficult and questionable choices at the age of 19.
If you've clearly met River, because he is exactly that.
He's
right, and that's the thing.
He's a great kid. I'm just saying, he's a big fella. He's a big young man.
But you remember what it's like. You remember what it's like being a teenage boy. Suddenly, it's literally like being the Hulk from the first to the second act. You're this, and then suddenly, like within a summer, you're 1.5 feet taller, 20 kilos heavier. You can now push over kids that you couldn't push over before last week, and you've just got all this power that is quite destructive. And if you don't know how to handle it, what to do with it, you can get yourself and other people into a lot of trouble. And so, it's very different with young men. And the research shows that if you're doing that, stay tough, the ability to express difficult feelings tends to come out physically, and that's dangerous for everyone, including them. So it gets contrary to what we all think or thought, is actually be like, yeah, I can see you're upset. It's okay to be upset about this. It's not okay to hit a person because of that. And kind of working with that, it takes a longer way around, but it's thinking down the track here.
Yeah, well, you have to play the long game, don't you, Audrey?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. There were so many things that I wish I knew when I was, Georgia was a a little one. And I can see the result of it now. Not all bad, but a lot that's great. But I just think if I, especially that thing about being okay with strong emotions, that would have been very helpful for myself, let alone for her growing up.
But like, don't be hard on yourself though, because Audrey was 23 when she had Audrey and
Georgia.
Audrey was 23 when she had Georgia.
Yes,
and I'm like early on watching Audrey mother Georgia. Like the only intimate experience we have of motherhood is usually with our own mother. We never really have that intimate experience of mothering and those mothering moments in another family. And watching the way that Audrey was dealing with Georgia in difficult moments, I was like, oh my God, look, that's empathy and compassion. That's incredible. Like, it's just... So don't be hard on yourself, hon.
But it's my job as a mother to be consumed by guilt and wish I did everything differently.
Can you relate to that, Elle?
Oh, totally. And I feel like the older I get, the more mistakes I realise I made, and I go, but I've it's like I'm attempt to be easy with myself as well. It's like, look, I did the best that I knew at the time, but also as our children have aged, we've got 26, 22 and 17, which I actually love this part of it, but our older kids are now telling us the places that we did make mistakes. They're actually saying, when you did that, that was really hard, or this caused this when you said that. And it's like, oh, wow. So it's taking those things, breathing deep and going, not trying to get out the baseball bat and hit yourself over the head with it. But it's a good...
There's no instruction.
No.
And as you said, Osher...
And no two parents have no two kids have the same parents. Even your 3 children did not get the same
Absolutely.
parents.
Exactly. And also, as you said before, these children, they're all so different. They take on certain things, but like our youngest one, Bodes, is like, where'd you come from?
Yeah.
She doesn't look really like either of us. And she's this completely different personality to Lotus, who was 10 years previous to her. Hey, so you're out of newborn and toddler phase. You're into this 3-year-old phase now, which is, I guess, the beginning of childhood. What challenges are you guys facing now?
What challenges are we facing?
I mean, you got work too. You're sitting, Audrey. You're sitting next to a dude that I don't think has ever been unemployed.
Look, he's a shark. If he stops swimming, he'll die.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. So even if he is unemployed, he's still hustling. There's always something going on. Always working.
So what challenges are you facing now with the work life? With obviously Wolfie's now 3 and he's got his needs and Georgia's got hers too. But as an adult,
I guess it's a balance, isn't it? Like the eternal chase for work-life balance, work-life relationships balance.
Yeah.
So that can be a bit hard, and as you were saying, Ali, not to beat yourself up too much about, not doing good enough, or I should have, done this better, or we should have spent more time with him. I feel bad that we didn't put him to bed 2 nights in a row or something. It was a babysitter or whatever.
For me, it's trying to be as present as I can and be mindful of boundaries. Hyman Roth to Michael Corleone in Godfather Part 2. This is the business we have chosen. Like, I chose this. I chose a job where I worked 10 weeks at a time.
Yeah.
I could have not done that, but I did. And as a result, 2 weeks into that 10 weeks, I'm looking, okay, there's no money in 8 weeks. What do we do? But that's the life that we've chosen. And it's the only thing I've ever been good at. It's the only thing. I mean, Audrey's good at heaps of stuff. She chose,
I also chose a freelance.
Yeah, you're still working.
And so
Audrey? You still doing? Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Not as much as I was before, obviously. It's just someone I feel like it's easier for me to make space in my work life, to be kind of the consistent presence at home. But I'm still out there. Yeah,
it's hard. It is really hard though to put a boundary around a project that I could work for 7 straight days and it still wouldn't be done. And to go, okay, that's going to have to be it for the day. Go upstairs, have some dinner, with Wolfie, reading books, cuddle, bed, just be there for that. And then have energy to connect with each other and try to talk about something that isn't logistics.
Or Survivor.
Or bank balances.
Yeah. Yeah, or who got a rose and who didn't get a rose.
No, I never tell her about that, and she's really shat because of it.
Because I also work on The Bachelor, and I'm like, I signed the same NDA.
Yeah,
mate.
yeah.
Also, this is the NDA right here. Yeah. Right here.
Audrey holds engagement ring to camera.
Yeah. Osher, I've got to admit, mate, we do watch The Bachelor, and when you stand up and go, Audrey, you didn't get a rose. It happens in our house. He goes, no shit, Sherlock.
Yeah, really? Captain Obvious flies into the room.
You have to say it.
I know you do have to say it.
Yeah.
Well,
it's pretty funny.
That's the job.
Yeah, that's the job.
Well, the show, I think way too much about reality television. I think way too much about how reality formats use the existing elements and tropes in human psychology to create jeopardy. And by not allowing our hero, be a bachelor or a bachelorette, to not have to actually dump anybody until the final day, means that final dump is enormous when they say it's not you. Or as Honey Badger said, it's also not
That's
you.
right.
So I'm the trigger man.
Yeah.
I'm the hitman. I go in and save them from doing that the whole time. And also I also keep them, whether it be him or her, I keep them a little safer in front of the eyes of the others, because they're all standing there. He or she will end up with one of them. So that's that job on that show. And the whispering happens because, look, I'm a human being, and there's
no, you're just dramatic.
genuinely people who are truly with huge amounts of emotion, and that's someone's daughter, that's someone's son. How long can we look at each other down the barrel of a gun? No,
Oh my gosh.
Thank
I'm
you.
so
Someone
sorry.
was there.
It was there.
So it's actually, I have
there.
empathy. I have empathy for them.
That's actually really lovely to hear. And I was a question that I wanted to ask you as well. You've been so open about your mental health. And it's been such a beautiful thing to hear how open you are with it. So clearly, with that empathy, you must see both males and females often have their heart totally shattered on the show. Is there anything, do you actually speak to them, or is that they've got their psychologists there to help them, or how do you feel about that in that moment?
It's a workplace like any other that has safety elements built around it to make sure that people are safe at work. All right. It is on camera. You'll see the most dramatic bits. But you or I will never know how much support there was given before or after to protect everyone. All right. But I was involved in getting psychs on set early on in reality television in Australian Idol season 1, 2003. They'd never really had psychs on set before. I remember saying to my EP, like, this is a 17-year-old kid who was serving choc tops down at the Village Cinemas last week. 2 million people watched them the next day, go on TV and get voted through. And then 2 million people watched him last night get told, nah, you're not good enough. And he's got a shift this Wednesday. That kid's got no skills. We've got to get around him.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, yeah, you're right. And so there was psychs on set, like not long after that. And since then, and actually I've worked with that psych again on Bachelor. And so people are quite well supported. You've got to have the jeopardy to make the show make sense. But when you're dealing with people's authentic human responses and authentic emotional responses as the currency, you need to protect them around that and make it safe for them to do so. So we do everything we possibly can to make sure it's safe.
Great.
I
answer.
I love how respectful you are to them, to those people. And do you guys ever talk about that? Audrey, do you ever go, the way you handled that today, I got to say, was fabulous or not fabulous? Because Ali will tell me things like that.
That it was fabulous.
Or not.
Oh, when it's work people and I'm dealing with them in a social situation, f***ing oath she does.
We're still learning here.
Aren't we all?
Like, between
Yes,
the terrible hearing from the 25 years in the music industry and meeting people kind of later in the evening when my ADHD meds have worn off, I could.
Oh, yeah.
Do frogs like chocolate? Why is France so far away? What's going on? Do you think that's that crown molding up there? It's the CEO of the thing, honey. Oh, thank you, babe.
Yeah. No, I feel like Osher does when it comes to work in particular. He always does an amazing job, and I feel like he approaches it with such a breadth of knowledge and empathy, particularly with on The Bachelor. That's you are very empathetic towards whoever the hero is. And I know you do have, you form quite close relationships with a lot of them.
Do you?
Like lasting.
Yeah. Some of them, if they only ever let them, they always dictate.
Yeah, right.
They always dictate it, whether they do or don't want to be in touch. And that's also part of the ethics of doing the job that we do.
Yeah, because you can't be the creep, can you? Like me. Text.
No, I'm a professional. I'm a professional, and they expect a professional environment, and it's never gonna happen.
But it's never forced.
No.
Yeah, but most of the guys in particular they just end up in bromances that last often longer than any other relationships that they're having from the show.
Osher, you wrote your book back after the break in 2017. And I know how challenging writing is. I was able to finish mine last year, which was a huge effort, and the amount of time and headspace it took. Emotionally, you laid yourself pretty bare in the book. How was that a cathartic experience, or how was that experience for you? And did you also have that moment right before publishing date that you went, holy crap, was this a good idea that I am putting this all out there?
I think the once you've got the why sorted out, the how is okay. You'll figure it out. So the why was when I first got sober, I had no idea that life could exist with alcohol. I had no idea at all. Like, I knew people did it. I didn't know how it happened. It was like if you guys came over to the house for dinner, but we blindfolded you, and then when you got here, I took the blindfold and said, now what colour were the cars on the street? You'd be like, well, they're clearly there. We came in one, but there's this just gap in your brain. And I just didn't know what it was. So I needed to hear stories of other people who were where I was and found a way to where I wanted to be. And the same when I got really sick, and I was going through the episodes of psychosis and the suicidality and stuff, I needed to hear stories of people who were where I was and where I wanted to be. And so why I did it was to just give what was given to me. I wanted to be able to show that 1 in 5 Australians are affected by complex mental illness, and when they think of someone who's dealing with episodes of psychosis or suicidality or dealing with antipsychotics that they're on, because the meds do make it better, but you deal with it. They don't think of a bloke counting roses on a Wednesday night, but there I was. And I met Audrey in the middle of that. I was like 93 kilos or something like that when we met. Yeah, because it messes with your insulin response, so you put on a lot of weight. And I was pretty sick when we met. And so I was just trying to give people what was given to me, and I was grateful for the chance to do so. It was hard, but there were points that Audrey produced the audiobook, so we were in the room together, and she was kind of double checking that I got all the words right. And there was moments where I just, speaking it. Boy,
what was that like for you, Audrey?
It was really interesting to, I think, getting it all out into the book itself. Osher managed. I the man was writing. He would sit on his bike trainer and be writing. So the shark thing again, just doesn't stop. And he wrote it in some stupid amount of time, nothing very long, because it was just a fountain coming out. But having him actually say it out loud, I think that's when he really processed what he'd written. Right. And I could tell sometimes where it was almost like he was just reading somebody else's words, and he was separating himself. So I think it was cathartic, or at least, helpful to process some of the
As-
things.
No, you're right. Yeah,
As you were producing Osher reading his own words, and you say that sometimes it was like he was reading somebody else's words, did you ask him to go back and redo it because you say you okay?
Yeah, I was like, you're not
detached
there right now, or you've completely detached. from
absolutely.
it.
Yeah, and that was really handy. That was really, really handy because it also helped me notice, go, oh, right, okay. Yeah. I didn't realise, we don't know. We don't know how we keep ourselves safe, We don't realise the patterns that we accidentally or inadvertently do. And it was really good.
It sounds like, too, that having you do that, Audrey, would be the best person to do it as well, because maybe just a random stranger producer might not have bothered to have gone, Osher, you've just...
They wouldn't have heard the nuance.
Exactly. So you, knowing Osher as well as you did, was able to bring that into reality for him.
I actually haven't even listened to it. I'm so sorry.
You're in it.
Yes, I know. I've read the book, so that's something.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I didn't listen to the final product, which is a bit silly.
Yeah, it's funny. In the audiobook, I'm like, and then this happened and that happened. You can hear Audrey going, no, it didn't. I'm like,
That's not what happened.
all right then. And so she came on the mic. I'm like, okay, this is an unauthorized, unedited, revision.
Oh, I
of the
love
book.
that. The bonus bits.
It was good.
Yeah, that's right.
it was good.
So,
director's
Audrey, you've clearly walked with Osher through many experiences, because Osher, so what you're saying, when you guys first met, were you still drinking at that time? And
Oh no! I was sober,
sober.
but I was not very well at
Okay.
all. No, I was on a lot of drugs.
so how was that for you, Audrey? How did you support Osher through what was he was going through mental health wise?
I think that was one of the things that I really liked about him when I first met him, like on the job. And there was no romantic interest there at all. Like, as in, like, I wasn't trying to date the guy. He was just so very open and matter of fact about, this is what I'm dealing with, but I'm aware of it, and I've got things in place to help and support myself. And so I never really felt like it was my job to fix him or, push him into seeking therapy or help or anything like that. So I really just found over time that it was just about being there.
That's not to say that at some point, there was one point where right before Wolfie was born, I'd been off meds for a while, and I was clearly starting to crack apart. I was clearly starting to lose it. I think you were about 7.5 months pregnant, and she just took one look at me and she goes, I need you around for this kid. You're not well. You need to get back on meds. And I trusted her so much, because when you're in it, you don't know you're in it. All right, it's everyone else's fault that everything's wrong, right? But I trusted her so much. So like, okay, and I emailed my doctor there and then. I saw him 2 days later, and I started on the drugs that night. And she was right. And it's important to have someone that you trust like that, because the one thing that I would say is you can't use a sick brain to think your way out of the problems caused by your sick brain. You just can't do it. It doesn't work. Like trying to bite your own teeth. And so having someone like that I trust is super important. Make no mistake. Like, I might have a career that people might look at outwardly and go, "Wow, you're so successful," but I only exist because of Audrey's ability to go, "What are you? No, don't do that."
No,
She's the executive producer of whatever you see.
from 2014 onwards.
Which
Prior
is why
to
it's been
that-
successful.
Oh, you were. Oh, excuse me. You were so shush. He always gives me way too much credit. Like he'd often credit me with helping him so much through those hard times. But he did all the work. He was the one.
Yeah,
doing
but
it. He was the one.
Audrey,
seeking
sometimes
therapy
having a hand at your back, just going, "I'm here," is more than as important as whatever work that Osher's doing. To know that there's someone behind you just going, I'm here, is a wonderful thing to know and feel. You mentioned in the book that you sought therapy. We've talked a little bit about therapy. Do you maintain your marriage with couples therapy, or do you do anything like that, or is it just as it comes?
sometimes when we need to, when we need a referee.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah.
It's important because you might not realise we were talking about parenting before, right?
Yep.
We'll often echo we're in a tense moment, we're flooded, some kids just punched another kid in the face. You're like, oh, and the first thing that comes to your mind is probably the last reference point you have for that, which might have been what happened to you or might have what we've seen someone else do, possibly 30 years ago, as the right thing to do. But that's the first thing your brain remembers to do, and so you say it out loud, like, oh, hang on, that might not be the right thing anymore. Similarly, like, I've recognised in relationships past, like, oh, I'm saying stuff that I used to hear my dad say. That doesn't belong here. That belongs in Brisbane in 1982. Huh. You know, why? That's not fair on anybody that I'm using those words here. So I think it's important to, do that. To every player needs a coach, and you may not realise what you're doing if you haven't got someone to go, do you guys understand that this is it, that you're doing this thing, and you just keep going around in circles? It's important.
Yeah. Well, we've been very open about the amount we've done. Years of couples therapy and it's saved our marriage over and over and over again, for sure. And that's so true. When you said referee, it's just having a third impartial person to just be able to go, he said this and she said this, and they just go, look, here's what I can see, here's what's going on, and like, okay, and we can get to it better now ourselves, for sure.
But it's great having some tools.
But it is.
It's great having some things that you can fall back on and go, what are we doing? What's in your relationship toolbox when you don't need the therapist, you don't need the referee? What do you guys, and clearly, as you've alluded to before, that there are some moments of differing ideas about how to do things.
The idea that marriage is chocolate, strawberries and balcony sex all the time. No, that happens every now and again, but not.
We don't have a balcony.
We do, but it's in full view of our neighbours.
That's even better, isn't it?
That's why it doesn't happen.
Whatever ticks your clock, mate. That's fine. It's false. It's two people who've got autonomous and strong opinions about how things should get done, trying to find a middle ground. That's what it is, and that's what it is.
I think it's letting go of the small stuff, trying not to sweat the small stuff.
Yeah.
I remember, God, I'm such a pedant, but the way that Osher used to hang the clothes, he's like, really wants to help and he's going to hang the clothes out, and I would get really annoyed that they weren't hung the way that I hang them
okay.
out.
So question then, do you hang pants from the bottom or do you hang them from the top?
It depends on the pant.
Okay.
And how thick the waistband is. So if it's a track pant, I hang it from the bottom.
Okay.
Pair of shorts, I hang it from the top.
All right. I'm glad we cleared that up. Continue your thought, please.
Yep. That was socks. Do you hang them from the toe or the bit around?
And the
leg?
answer is,
I now hang it from the bit around the leg because I realised I was being a crazy woman. But anyway, I had to learn that it wasn't that important. What was important was that Osher really wants to help me, and that's where I should be putting my attention rather than, being finicky about how the shirt's hung up and the dishwasher is stacked.
I'm trying
stuff
real hard.
Like that.
I'm trying real hard there. For me, it's there's a few extra challenges with the brain that I've got. So my brain's very good at some things; it's not very good at other things. And the ability to write a book in a very short amount of time is very useful because I have this ability to hyperfocus sometimes. Unfortunately, that hyperfocus can get quite stuck, and recognizing when I'm in that space, particularly if it's a moment of flooding where I'm just full of all the hormones that make me go, but you did. And then if I can't get out of that, I can just drill down and then cause way, way, way too much exaggeration on the situation that doesn't require it. So identifying those moments and being okay to go, we'll talk about this later, and then actually going away and letting it calm down. And then coming back and going, hey, that thing.
Have you thought about a career on Smooth FM, by the way?
They never call me, dude.
That's because I'm doing it. You go away.
You've
got the Bachelor, I've got Smooth. Okay.
Mate, your gig might be a little more reliable because, that's pretty sweet. You do one pre-record every 2 weeks and then... I like
Yeah,
the
that's
vibe.
exactly the way it is.
Oh, have you got a better one than that? You got like a once a month. That's
We'll leave
awesome.
it at that. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
I like the.
That's
I
right.
had a,
Oh yeah, it's afternoon
Exactly.
with Michael Bublé.
there you go.
You got it. You got that voice down.
Oh mate, when he's
Can you two do can you two just now continue to talk in those voices?
Yes.
Because I think it'd be.
Are you talking about Elle and me or me and Osh?
You and Osher.
You and Osh.
Oh, sure.
I think
Sure.
it would be.
Let's do a Smooth FM grab. Okay, so it's Osher and Cam here on Smooth FM. Diana Ross and Lionel Richie. Endless Love. Cam, what a film.
Easy. Oh, what a film, Osher. What a film. And easy to relax with.
So relaxing.
I think I'm going to light a candle.
So relaxing.
I'm going to put some olive oil in a bath and I'm going to run it for you.
Sad times this week with the passing of Burt Bacharach, but we will always have his music.
Let's roll on him now.
The Carpenters.
Roll
Here
on him.
Smooth FM.
Roll on him.
Why do birds suddenly
There we go. There you
appear
go.
every time?
Love
Sorry,
it.
I'm
I'm
sorry,
going
I
with you.
started
That was great.
I'm all the way.
Give us a job. We're in.
There it is. It's
Breakfast.
a double act from now on.
No. Don't. Stay in your lane, Osher. Stay in your lane.
I drive in all the lanes all the time. That's
He's
the
used
thing.
to 8 lanes in LA, man. There's both
Yeah.
ways. What's something that would surprise our listeners about you guys, or that you guys keep secret?
Well, maybe it's a secret, though. Maybe that's the whole point.
Yeah, but we're in the
Just
bathroom,
saying.
honey. You get to do anything in the bathroom.
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah,
the
No
safe
one's.
space.
No one's going to hear it. We'll flush the toilet as you
Yeah,
say
we'll
it.
flush the dunny as you say. Yeah, we should do that. We should have a little button that goes.
That's a great idea.
Well, but yeah, something about you that maybe no one knows.
Oh, I'll tell you
Yeah.
something. It's taken, I think, pretty much until 6 weeks ago, maybe 8 weeks ago, for Audrey to start tracking her cycle. Before that, it was me with the app.
Well, that's
With an app?
That's an unexpected share. Let me tell you. That
Got an app for everything, evidently.
Yeah, there is. It's a great app.
Is it
actually.
really?
Okay.
Because
there
it
you go.
started. It started around. We were like, I'm kind of coming off the back of being on a lot of medication that really messes with my testosterone. So conception was difficult, and so we're trying to narrow the variables in that. So timing,
Right.
becomes-
By we, he means the royal
Yeah,
we.
right.
Again.
I was trying to narrow down the variables.
Yes.
All right. Because.
I was just going with the flow.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, well, because in high school, certainly in my high school, sex ed was like, if you so much as take your pants off in the same room as a woman, she'll get pregnant and your life will be ruined. What it actually is certainly in your 30s, is trying to
You're in your
conceive.
40s, hon.
I know, my 40s. It's trying to conceive is standing on the side of the Hume Highway with a ping pong ball, waiting once a month for a Toyota Camry to drive by at 110 kilometres an hour with an open passenger door, and then throwing that ping pong ball to try and get it in the cup holder. And if you miss, that's fine. There's another one coming along in 28 days.
Wow.
And that's
a visual.
it.
I love
And
that.
so
I've never heard it put like
it's
that
true
before.
though.
Thanks, mate.
But it's it. That's what it was
Yeah.
like. And so I started tracking.
I'm the Toyota Camry.
I started.
Can you drive a Hilux next time? It's got a bigger
a
window.
late model?
And your womb is the cup
Yeah.
holder, just so we're clear.
That's
right.
late model Camry, like hybrid, one with good mileage.
Okay.
And
don't
never
know
been
how
an
to
It's
take
never
that.
been an Uber. It's never been an Uber. And I think so I started to kind of notice the variabilities through the month and go,
He's trying to skirt around my mood changes and fluctuations, and that's pretty much what he's alluding to. So he has the circular speak where he's trying to say, when is she going to get PMS? When do I have to get out of her way?
well, it helped a lot.
Yeah. Oh, good.
It helped me go,
Good.
oh, that thing about pick your battles. Yeah, okay. Maybe
Maybe next week.
Today's not the day for
Maybe
you.
next week. Yeah.
we'll talk about this. We'll talk about this later.
Yeah.
That's really helpful.
It was helpful for him, but then I decided, actually, it's kind of weird that I have to ask him.
When's my
When's my
period due?
period
Yeah.
due?
Hang on. Let me check.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's checking the app, and I'm like, really, it should be.
That's funny.
Yeah. But as you get older, you're like, I don't know if you find this too, that you're like, my emotions are just up. It's just the roller coaster, and God help my poor family. So I'm sure we're not alone in that. Surely.
No, you're not alone in
not.
that, Audrey.
Definitely not.
Never a braver
Wow.
sentence did Cam ever speak.
Wow.
Did you hear the bravery he mustered before he spoke
That
that?
was very pointed.
That was
but it was more
impressive.
pointed
That
at
was
me.
Impressive.
Oh, really? You
I
looked
feel
right
like-
at me. I thought you
I
were
did
saying.
because I was looking for validation going, yeah, you are. Like you saying that to me.
Oh, no, I was.
But it's the great unspoken. It's the great unspoken. It's the how dare you bring that up. But I think it's important that we have empathy around it. Like, it's important that we understand it. And you can't, I'm not saying, oh, you're this because of that. It's just, oh, okay. Well, this is now the third party in this relationship. Let's treat it as separate to both of us and try to deal with it that way.
Because I try to do that with your ADHD,
Absolutely.
Right, yeah.
etc.
Yeah, there's a long list.
There's
If you
a
start
few
there, you'll never
things. I'll
stop.
just stop with ADHD because that's easier.
Is there a catch-all for anxiety or ADHD or moments when, is there something, basically what I'm getting at, Osher, is I was listening to your dad podcast,
with Charlie.
right?
That's
and you
great.
mentioned something that I do as well, and it's based around breathing. And I've gotten better at it as I've, like when the emotions get high and I'm starting to get cranky, is to take that breath in for 5 seconds and then hold it for 10 seconds and then just let it out easy,
Absolutely.
And you were talking about that as well. I was like, oh, we do the same thing. That's cool. Are there other sort of techniques and things you use for when life does start crowding in and getting a little tricky?
Yeah. Yeah, there's all kinds of things, but understanding that your body has the ability to downregulate. You've got a lot of things inside you that can make it, unless you're really sick, and I've been really sick, that you've got the ability to downregulate quite a lot hooked up into your breathing. We have, as humans, we have, uncommonly to other mammals, we have the ability to turn on our relaxation reaction and reflex, and you do it through breathing by stimulating the vagus nerve, and that what you just described is something called polyvagal breathing. So you breathe in for 5 and out for 10, or in for 6 and out for 12, and what that does is it turns on your relaxation, and that opens the focus again. Because when we get agitated or whatever, our focus kind of narrows, and that's fine, but it stops us from seeing possibility. And the one thing you need when you're in an altercation or in a tricky moment, you need to see options. You need to see outs. And breathing is, it's all about breathing for me. All about breathing.
You use exercise a lot too.
Yeah, I use that as well.
Process or even just to bring you back to the planet.
But everyone can breathe. Not everyone can exercise.
Yes, this is true. But I think the question was, what do you use?
Oh, yeah, it starts with breathing. It always starts with breathing. I do it when I'm on the motorbike. I do it at work. If you watch, the last time I was on Q&A, if you watch, once you know what to look for, you'll see me do this particular breathing called this physiological sigh. You'll see me do it 8 times if you watch and you know what you're looking for. I'm shitting myself.
Come on. I was going to ask you, do you crap your pants before a live performance or things like that? How do you go?
Never. I'm fine. And but it's not like it's not a heightened moment. But I'm willing to be with the heightened moment.
Yep.
And I do my best work when I'm in that heightened moment because I can use my down regulation and regulate myself when I'm in those places. But that's the benefits of having the brain that I've got. It's like, okay, we're on in 10, great. Okay, camera 1, so it's just 8 cameras. Okay, this person's going to go out here. Don't stand there. The fireworks will go off. I'll explode. Go here. Okay, great. Go 3, 2, 1, go. Serenity. Absolute serenity. It's amazing.
Yes.
When you mentioned before about Q&A, are you saying if I watch you on Q&A, I will be able to see you doing your breathing technique at the desk? Great. Check that out.
Yeah.
Well, you felt not intimidated, but that was a you were discussing really important topics on that show.
On energy policy.
Yeah. with like
the current Minister for Energy and the Shadow Minister, who's now the Minister for Energy.
Yes. So it was kind of like not many people know that you've got that, passion and so much knowledge in that area. And it's like, why is Osher Günsberg talking to this subject? So I think that kind of brought that element of...
Yeah. I didn't want to become too emotional. I wanted to be sure that I was measured dealing with it.
How fantastic. What a great opportunity to do that. And to...
I'm really grateful for it.
You know, and to not... It's not like you're showing anybody. It's just, no, I'm actually sharing what I know. You know, it's not a performance. It's
a lot of lanes. No one walks in just one. I've got a lot of lanes.
You are the 405 way.
If I start talking, I take 4 or 5 hours to get there.
Right.
Guys, we do a 2-minute shower where we keep our answers short. We both want you to answer the question.
Wyvenhoe Dam thanks you. Yeah. Or Warragamba, depending where you are in the world.
Sorry.
What do you miss when you're not together?
Hugs.
Smiles.
Nice. Is there a time in your life that you'd like to revisit?
Oh, just the idea of going on adventures together, all three of us. Well, 4 now. So not since Wolfie's come along, we haven't really been on very many big adventures. Waves hand in general pandemic direction. But yeah, I really like going on adventures with everybody.
Yeah. We had a Georgia moon. It was a honeymoon where we took Georgia.
Oh.
That was the Georgia moon.
It was lovely.
In Japan, and it was just wonderful.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah. We went skiing and that would be nice. I'd like to do that again, but with an extra
A
child.
Wolfie moon.
And a new hip.
A Wolfie moon.
And a
Wolfie
hip
moon.
that's even younger than the sun. That'll be great.
Who's funnier?
Audrey.
Me. That was very quick to agree.
And I am currently in the middle, like this day, I am writing the script for tonight's sellout comedy show. We've got 10 nights at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. We've got 5 nights in Sydney, and Audrey's still the funnier one.
Yeah, but I can't do what you do. I'm just funny in person.
She's funny.
What the world needs more of is...
Love, sweet love.
Right.
Kindness, I think.
Yeah, I'd say the assumption that we are trying to do the right thing for all of us. I think. Well, I would say what the world needs is more of a collective mindset. I would say understanding how you can impact people who you don't know.
Okay.
Describe each other in one word.
Ooh, so many words.
You can use more than one. We allow it.
I'd like you to try with one word because you're good at these
One
these
word.
things.
Captivating.
Nice.
What do you want?
We haven't had captivating. That's a
You
good one.
to take that as the word I describe.
I will try. Gosh, how to describe Osher in one word? Immense.
Ooh.
Immense.
Immense.
Yeah, he's just like...
That's a couple of new ones, sweetheart. We haven't had those
I
two.
know. I thought you were going to go with indescribable for a second there. I was like, maybe that's where she's going. Immense. I love that. Immense.
There you go.
He's a force.
Force to be reckoned.
He is.
And I think it's important to understand that what you want in life changes as you go through life. And the thing that you wanted when you were in your 20s isn't the thing that you maybe want now. And just to check in on that, just because I keep going in this direction, is that what I still want? It's important to look into that.
Well, it's been so great having you on. Audrey, it was lovely to get to know you. Lovely to get to know you both. You guys have been fantastic. Thanks so much for being with us.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for your time.
Lovely to meet you both.
That was a very enlightening chat about many, many things. I'm just so impressed about, particularly a fellow, being able to share so vulnerably about mental health and say it just, as it should be. It's just something that he works with and deals with, and it's also what makes him special, and it's also what has given him the career that he's had. It's such a great reframe for what people think is a terrible affliction.
Yeah.
How he's used that for himself, and my gosh, what a woman he has in Audrey. How unreal is she?
Yeah, she's like a beautiful. I was going to say like a rudder, but it's more like a centerboard of a boat. You know, just keeping everything there. And I love that he acknowledges that and keeps him grounded. And with Osher, it's just the way it is. It's not stigmatized. He doesn't blow it up anymore. It's not. He's not a victim.
Yep, absolutely.
So he doesn't use it he doesn't weaponize it, sort of thing. It's just, this is who I am. This is what I do. And hey, this is what I have, and this is what's gotten me to where I am.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yep. Really, really lovely chat.
Great chat.
Well, thanks for listening, everyone. Again, if you enjoyed our podcast, you can rate and review us. We always love that. Let us know what we're doing right.
Would you squeak? Right. Or what we can do better.
What we can do better. There you go.
How we can improve.
It's not right or wrong, is it? No. It's how we can improve.
Yeah, we're always growing.
That's true.
Moving and shaking and growing. We'll catch up with you next time on Separate Bathrooms.